Get started. So it's been a week and a half since we've had this class together. Um, so I've crazy to say this, but I've missed you guys. I really have. I miss sort of the weekly cadence, the normal cadence we've got on Wednesday afternoon. So uh, we've got today, we've got next Wednesday, and then we've got the Inspired Sale class. So more on that later. I'm going to continue to watch the waiting room and let people in as they're coming in. But I want us to go ahead and get started. And I know this is going to take a minute for us to do, but I think it's important for us to be able to learn from one another. And so I'd like to sort of go around the room and find out from you what is your biggest learning? We've been apart for a week and a half, and I'd love to find out what is the most impactful thing that you've learned over the last week and a half. Now, if you're a design associate and you've been on a ride-along, it might be that big learning moment came from a ride-along. It might be that this big learning moment came from something that you saw in the Floor U material, or it might be something that you uncovered with your franchise owner, or with another franchise owner, another design associate, whatever. So I'm not putting boundaries on where you got that from. I would love it if somebody has done a secret shop and maybe their learning came from, maybe their big learning came from a secret shop. So we'll just see where this goes. So what has been your biggest learning over the last week? And let's see, Dan Adkins, I will start with you.
Wow, I just walk in the door and get thrust into
That's
the
it.
spotlight. All right, I see how you are.
Top left of the screen. I don't know how it happened, but top left on the screen.
That's because I'm always late. Oh, well, better late than never. This has been, and DAs might not be in the same boat, but I know new owners are right there in the thick of it with me. It really is just every day is learning that I can do a little bit more than I thought I could yesterday. And that's not to sound dramatic, but it's like, by the time my head hits the pillow, I'm like, I got nothing. But you get up in the morning like, you know what? I slept on it. I got a little bit more. Let's go do it again. So that's where I'm at. It's just today I'm learning about how few job candidates there are out there that want to be my office manager, and I'm just rolling with the punches. So that's where I am.
Got it. I like it. Let's see. How about Jennifer up in the upstate of South Carolina?
Hey, the tablet is amazing. It helps me out immensely.
Okay. Anything in particular that you hit in the tablet that you're like, that's a trick I want to share with others?
I guess the bomb kit and everything it holds and tells me what I need doing tile.
Nice. Nice. Good. Let's see. How about Paul Beaudry? Paul, there you go.
Sorry, I wasn't able to get it unmuted. I spent 8 hours this weekend at our Grand Rapids Home Show with our hard surface installer, and I learned a ton from him. And I'm just going to do a couple ride-alongs with him, but just a lot of how he installs it and what he's expecting from me. And then I also did my own sale. I had a flood in my basement, and insurance is paying for new carpet, so I sold it to myself.
Nice.
That's going to be installed in a couple weeks.
Did you give yourself a discount?
Sort of.
Nice. All right, let's see. Adam Alexander.
Can you hear me all right?
Now we've got you. Yep.
Sorry, I got in here just 1 minute late, so I didn't hear what we are talking about.
So what has been your biggest learning over the last week and a half?
I would say my biggest learning is just being able to audible and just be able to roll with punches. Like if maybe the first option that we really thought was a perfect option for a customer isn't the right fit, you know, we got a lot more. We have over 3,000 samples inside the showroom, so we just keep rocking it.
I love it. I love it. Don't give up off the first option. Good. Josefina.
Hi. For me, I've been doing exercise after exercise and exercise, trying to get used to all the tablet and also the Inspire. I mean, creating the new customer. So I think that in that point, it's the most important thing that I learned.
Okay, nice. Nice. Raul.
Yes, I think that the biggest thing I've learned in the last week or so is that I finally feel like I'm going to have a good grasp come lunchtime, but I realize there's a lot of actual repetition of stuff I need to do to be comfortable with it. I understand the concepts, but to make it smooth, I just need to do a lot of practice.
Good. Good. Let's see. How about Jake Evans?
Yeah, so I actually did a secret shop this week. Had kind of a, I guess you'd say, lower end company come out to my house. They were in and out in less than 15 minutes. So I think I just learned being personal with people is super important. Hearing the customer out, trying to break down those walls and just let them see you as a person, because they came over and it was just super fast. Like they did not care. So that's what I learned.
So who was it that came?
It's a company called Utah Flooring Company.
Okay.
So
And so they came in, I'm assuming, but you tell me, they came in, measured the space, threw a number at you and ran out the door?
Yep, that's pretty much exactly what happened.
Nice. So what that tells me is they're expecting that you're either going to buy on price or you're just not worth it to them, right? So there's no value that's being built. There's nothing to endear you to them. There's no relationship. There's no reason to buy from the person. There's no reason to buy from the company. They probably didn't have a ton of product for you to choose from, is a guess.
Yeah, they had one sample.
Good. All right. So one sample. So what does that leave? That leaves price. So essentially, this person is thinking that, okay, I'm either going to sell it on price or I'm not going to sell it. That's not sales, by the way. That's just order taking. Anybody can order take. I mean, you don't have to have any particular skills to do order taking. That's a whole different ball game right there. Good. Good. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see. How about Alana?
Hi there. I guess everything's a learning experience this week. There's been so many different things, ride-alongs and just continuing all the e-learning. But definitely the most fun, I don't know if it's a learning thing, it's just meeting, so far being on the ride-alongs and meeting the families. And for instance, Mark and I had a family with 5 kids from 5 to 19, and they all wanted to take part in it. So that is just so fun. That's like the most fun thing ever. So, and we sold job. So that was like
Nice.
super exciting. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. I don't doubt it. Mark sells a bunch of stuff. Good. Let's see. How about Marnie?
Hello. I think just learning the tablet and the repetitions it's going to take, and learning the company story and getting comfortable with that. It's just a lot to learn, but yes, I feel a little bit more comfortable every day, and I'm excited about moving forward and being able to sell.
Nice. Okay. April, what's been your biggest learning moment in the last week?
So many. We had our home show this weekend also. I was really surprised how many flooring companies there are. There were at least 9 different flooring companies at our home show, so I was amazed. The main thing that I'm struggling with learning is actually installation and how many different ways how many different ways we can solve the problem and choosing it. But on a good note, I have closed a few sales, and I just going through the flow of the inspired sales and just asking for the sale and see what happens. And I'm really surprised that 3 of them, when I asked, why did you purchase from us? They said it was because of the ratings. So it does make a big difference that when they're looking on Angie's list, that we're top of the line. So
Nice.
learning a lot, much more to
Nice. I
learn.
love it. I love it. Rocky, how about for you? Biggest thing you've learned in the last week?
Well, overall, it's been a lot to take in a short period of time, and it's all starting to come together, connecting the dots. It's starting to make sense, and so that's kind of my takeaway this week is everything's just connecting. So and grateful for everything that we're doing and the support that we have.
Nice. Let's see. How about Brigitte?
Hi. Let's see. The biggest thing that I've learned this past week is that listening, and it's all about the customer and personalizing the company story to them and what they're looking for.
Love it. I love it. I talk to so many people that say, "Oh, I'm going to be great at sales because I can talk to anybody." And I often ask people, "Okay, but can you listen to anybody?" Because
Right.
sales is a lot more about listening than it is about talking. So I love that. Thank you for that. Jenny.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I had a big week, I think, in learning with the tablet this week, and just being, I've been on a few ride-alongs. I've been, my owners are having me measure and use the tablet and visit with the customer. So just kind of getting that all to click, and then understanding how to, when I come back to the office, how to have the tablet up sync and upload to Salesforce and work with our coordinator on scheduling. So a lot of that just clicked for me this week.
Nice. Nice. How about Beto?
Yeah, as a new DA, Orland, it's been, like Rocky said, it's been a lot of information to take in. But going into several ride-alongs, I have learned a lot. So I'm not familiar with the installation process. And now I have scheduled a couple of visits with our installers so I can get a little bit more familiar with them. Because as I've been, working on the tablet, I have to be honest with you, I missed a few things. And it's just because I'm not really familiar with the installation process. But as I've been with the ride-alongs, it's really what you learn. It's tremendous. I mean, being with the actual families and talking about their what they're looking for, customizing our products or services based on their needs. It's been amazing. It's been quite a learning experience.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that.
By the way, I had an
to-
opportunity to go to a local Lowe's just kind of to see going through the experience. And if you picked a couple of things, they actually sell it to you. They sell the little pieces. So if you're interested in a couple of hardware pieces, you can sell it. You take it home, and then if for any reason that's not what you like, then you come back, and then you get to return your money. Then you get to pick another two. But they're not really that friendly, so you're pretty much on your own.
Yep. Nice. Let's see. How about Lisa?
Okay, can you hear me now?
We got you.
Okay, so David and I went and did a secret shop on Saturday, and that was really interesting. So we went to 2 different places. We did like a local flooring company, and then we did Home Depot, and Home Depot was just a joke. I mean, there wasn't anybody there to help you, and the selection they had was practically nil. It was actually an embarrassing lack of selection. But
And how about the local company?
But the local company was different. I kind of left there thinking we had a little bit to compete with, because I thought their prices were pretty comparable to ours. The salesperson there was very knowledgeable and really friendly and really helpful. And she gave us like the kind of the basic installer price. So it kind of gave us a little bit of an idea too of what other companies were pricing out their installation. So it was very interesting in a lot of ways. But I still think that we're still very competitive and that we had the whole experience there, just making it easier for the customer and and being able to spend time with them without any of the distractions of other people walking into the store. So
Sure. Nice. See, people get hung up on how am I going to compete with Home Depot? How am I going to compete with Lowe's or Empire? And the reality is that's probably not where your toughest competition is. Where your toughest competition is that local store that you just ran into, because that local store is probably going to do a good job for your customer. I mean, for their customer, they're probably going to take care of them. They're probably going to do a lot of the things the right way. But you're right. There's a difference between going into somebody's house where they can be focused and they have your attention rather than a salesperson in a store that's having to pay attention to 4 or 5 different people at the same time. So I personally think that our model is better for that reason. But it's not the Home Depots and Lowe's and Empire. It's not those people that I'm concerned about from a competitive standpoint. It's the local guy that will probably take care of customers. And the reality is, if the local guy and if we do really well side by side, great. Let's all steal market share from Home Depot and Lowe's. Perfect. Let's see. How about we haven't gone to Emily yet. All right, let's go back up the list. How about Spencer?
Biggest thing is I've dealt with was being proficient and learning how to use the tablet in home while a customer's talking to you. So kind of multitasking. That's kind of been a little bit of a challenge.
Nice. Janie.
One thing that I think has been really helpful for me has been going around and trying to build relationships with some of the product suppliers. So we went last week and met with we went to the Nurison showroom, and I was kind of grouchy going into it because I was like, oh, they're just going to have scratchy wool carpet. I don't want to sell this. No one's going to want to buy it. Then we walk through the door and it's like wall after wall of beautiful, incredible rugs. And just like, now I'm stoked and I want to sell Nurison rugs to everybody, but it's been really fun to actually kind of start to see, okay, here's some really cool things that we could sell that I'm excited about. So I'm like,
nice. How about Sawyer?
Hey guys, I learned I was on a ride along and I learned about toothing, like with their old wooden floors. If there's something that's going on with, they want to move something from one room to another, and they can keep that old wooden floor and put new wooden floor in there and tooth it in exactly how it sounds. And it was really cool to learn about that, how we could do that.
Nice. Being able to finger joint something in together. Good. Julie.
Hello. I have learned so much this last week. I don't even know where to start, but one thing that really jumped out at me this week was I'm on my own now as of last Monday. So a client's home that I went to, at the end, she said, well, I'm sold on you and I'm sold on your company. And now let's start shopping. So it's all about price. So I thought about that little, diagram that you had shown, the person, the company, the product. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she just stated it. And also she said I was the only one that sat down with her. So I thought, okay, these are really important things.
Nice. How about, let's go to Evan.
Sure, Arlen. So again, as an owner, I don't think we have as many opportunities to do ride-alongs, but I shared with you earlier today that I did one this morning with a local owner, and I can't even count the number of lessons learned. Everything from take my allergy medicine if somebody has 4 cats, all the way to how to listen to a customer. This is a unique flooring job that was hardwood floors. Woman, there was water damage, and it was all on the upper floor. There was no subfloor, nothing underneath. It was just laying across the beams. And she said, "You're the fourth company to come in here, and you're the first one that didn't try to sell me something I don't want to buy, because I like hardwood, real hardwood. Give me a solution, listen to what I'm asking for and tell me if you can solve for it. It's not a pricing decision. This is what I like. This is what I want." And she said the other three, I think one was Empire, and I don't know who the other two were, just really tried to push her on the laminate because it was easier for them. And just listening to the customer and watching how the owner handled it, including going out to the car, calling a supplier to find out if they had this product in stock before he came back in with a proposal, just watching him just very, very fluidly, problem solve. But it started with listening to the customer, and it started with thinking creatively outside of the box and also outside of the van, because he doesn't have this product, with him. So I guess the added lesson to that is, build those relationships with your local suppliers, know where to go for, offbeat products, or whether it be flooring, whether it be supplies, and build those network relationships, because you're going to fall back on them. And I asked him what percentage of business in this area is, it involves getting hardwood floors that are not necessarily carried on the truck. And he said, in this market, it could be 40-50%. So it's,
I love it.
it's a local experience. It's not one size fits all.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff. Let's see, Axel, your biggest learning from the last week.
Hello, everyone. Well, it has a lot to do with time management. I've been trying to deal with more things than I can handle, to the point that everything was important, so nothing was important. And I started asking for some help to try to delegate some of the stuff that I had to deal with, namely hiring an OM. I had over 45 applications to look into. I came up doing that and asked someone to help me with that, so that I can just get back on the saddle and focus on what it is that I have to learn.
Love it. Good. Cody. Cody's searching for that mute button.
Hey, can you hear me?
Got it.
There it is. Sorry, Aaron. Yeah, for me, I would say, and it's kind of already been touched on a little bit, but just trust the process for sure. Really just like getting in the customer's home, not talking product or anything like that, melting down the shield of ice, kind of just like introducing yourselves and introducing us, getting to know them and kind of like what they do, what their hopes, dreams, aspirations, all those things are, getting to know about like, their family and things like that, and really just trusting the process. I've had a couple customers within like the last week or so kind of mentioned that like we are not the lowest bid, but they want to work with us because they like Beth and they like myself. And so really just trusting the process. There's a reason why it is what it is, and it's successful. So yep, I would say that's been the biggest one for sure.
Nice. How about Will?
So the biggest thing that I've kind of gone through is last weekend, we actually had a home show. So we were there all weekend long. And that was really good too. And not that the Floor U is anything bad, but to take everything that I've heard again and again, and then hear that repetitively hundreds of times from everyone around me. So then I got to start talking to everyone, and I kind of got a grip for how things should be worded, how you should talk to certain people about certain things. And so I think that was really beneficial for me.
Love it. Love it. Let's see, Tom Reeve.
Arlen, I think coming from flooring sales, the two things I never did there were sand and refinish jobs, which we do a lot of in our franchise area. And I've really focused on that, how it's done, traveled out with an installer. So that was new, and that was very interesting. But I think the most important thing I'm learning is when you shoot that video, if you know it's going to be some type of a hard surface installation, when you're doing the video, make sure you know where a transition is definitely required. do you need a transition or do you need a reducer? Because when you go back to write up that order, you got to remember, oh shoot, did I need a reducer going into that tile bathroom, or can I put in a T-mold? So to make sure I send the installer out with the right detail parts, if you will, one of which I had a stair that was 5.5 feet long. It went down to a sub basement area, step down, and only find out you can't buy stair treads that long, because we got on the phone with the manufacturer. So the solution was, it was a loose lay basement floor that we were going to glue down the loose lay, and we had to order enough overlapping stair nose to do it properly. So all the parts that went into that, really focusing on when I closed the order, what do I need to know, and most importantly, remember when I write up the order, so that everything is in there correctly.
Nice. I love it. How about Greg?
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yep.
Gosh, I've learned there's not enough hours in the day. Like Axel, there's so much on my plate, it seems. And it's just trying to get with time management and do things in order, do one thing at a time. The other thing I learned is, like the video you sent us, Arlen, I think it's Tony Robbins, is talking about, fear. Fear is, the one thing kind of holding us back. And I see that, you're a little nervous or a little scared of certain things, or doing certain things. So fear to me, is not an option. And like some of the other guys said, fail and fail fast. And so I'm hoping I can fail during this training period. So when I get up, I get open, I'll be able to, learn from my mistakes as well. So.
Nice. Let's see, Sherry.
The most impactful thing that I learned this week was that I'm becoming a better listener. Just being able to answer people's questions about the install process, things like that. When I'm walking into the home, I'm kind of positioning my mind where I'm walking in to bond with the customer and to listen to them. And then once I do that, I feel like the sales process kind of comes naturally as to picking the product and being able to answer their questions and educating them. They feel more comfortable at that point. So it kind of helps out to kind of really focus on that warm up first. And then that's just gonna naturally lead you to what product we're gonna go for.
Nice. I love it. Aaron.
Galen?
Well, mine has been an out of the frying pan into the fire experience. MK is Harsha is my one of 3 owners, and so I did ride-alongs with him last week, but he's in Atlanta this week, so I am doing all the sales myself. And we had a home show like 2 weekends ago, so it was kind of nice because I kind of built rapport with the customers, and we actually set appointments at the show. So a lot of the people I'm seeing are people I've kind of already broke the ice with. So it's been good. I actually ran one Monday that was not a home show lead, and I sold it right on the spot. And they said the reason they bought from me is, 1, they had another company out that weren't very nice, and 2, they liked the fact that we brought the product in the house. One thing I've noticed is that I make them take once they decide on a product, I tell them, pick it up, it's yours, you got it for the next half hour or whatever. And I have them walk around the house, put it on the floor, put it by the door or whatever. And it really helps them take ownership of it. And a couple of the couples that we've gone to see, even the guys have said this has been the easiest experience, because we've all been in a store, whether it's the guy with the lady or the lady with the guy, looking at something you're uninterested in. So this lets them work together to figure out, what do you think about this color? And it gets both of them involved. So it's been a little hectic, but the training, practicing measurements on the tablet has made it very easy to go in. I have no problem drawing any rooms, picking the transitions, knowing what to look for, whether a door needs to be cut. So it's kind of nice to it's probably happened a little faster than I was thinking, but it's actually been a blessing, really.
Nicely done. Yeah, I'm driving to Atlanta late tonight. I'll be in the corporate office tomorrow, so I'll pass along to MK that you're having a good time selling while he's gone. I love it. Ethan.
Mine's interesting. So a few weeks ago, I reached out to our three main competitors and created accounts with them. Then last Friday, I called them again to see how long it would take for somebody to realize who I was and pull up that account. And all of them took over 5 minutes and didn't know who I was. So what I started doing was any appointment I had, I put their name into my phone. I use my personal phone. I just put their name into my phone, and during the company story, I'd be hitting on customer service. I'd say, "Now I'll show you a little bit different between me and the competitor," and I'd have them call me on the phone, and I'd just hold up my phone and say, "Oh, look, there's your name," and I'd answer it and say, "That's how fast I answer the phone, and I know who you are." So I connected everything to Salesforce, so when somebody calls me, I could just pull their file straight up from outside of Salesforce on my phone. Super easy,
it.
super simple, and I've closed 5 out of 6 in the past 3 days. So
Look at that. 5 out of 6. Hold on. I gotta get the money. Evan's in the money. Let's go.
that's what I was doing in the office yesterday. Is
Throw it out. I love it. Let's see. Billy.
Yes, I'd say the main thing I learned this past week is just delivering bad news. That's not an easy thing to do, to go to your customer and let them know that, the wrong transition came in. I know you're scheduled to have your install on this day, whatever the situation is. You kind of don't want to make that phone call, but it's better to go ahead and confront it as soon as possible. Go ahead and take care of it. They don't want the bad news, but they're definitely going to appreciate it sooner than later.
I love it. Yep, I absolutely love it. If we have time, I will. I'll try to remember to tell you guys the difference between a cow and a water buffalo. That'll make more sense when we get there. Let's see. Who are we missing? How about Nick Green?
You're on an appointment. Hi, sorry guys, I was out on an appointment, so I'm joining a little late. What was the question?
Yeah, so what's been your most significant learning over the last week?
Oh, it's good. So over this past week, I've learned quite a bit from Tracy and Matt in their company. I've been on ride-alongs with John as well. I guess just different techniques work for different people. Going to different homes, you need to talk to everybody a little bit differently and kind of gauge who they are and what they're about. And then, yeah, so.
Nice. Okay. Yep. Again, we're talking about personalizing things, right?
Yep.
It's not going to be the same. You're not going to deliver it the same way I deliver it. You're not going to deliver it the same way that Emily or Alana delivers it. And if you walk into 6 different houses this week, you're going to deliver it 6 different ways because it's not going to be the same for each customer. Good. Let's see. How about Paul Dunn?
Okay, so this past week I've been out on my own appointments, and one of the things that really struck me, I went in one house and the wife was there, and she had just gotten back, or a day or so earlier, from the local flooring company, and she had some samples that they loaned her, and she had them already out in her house. And I looked at the samples, I looked around the room, and I said, Lisa, how do you feel about how well these samples look in this room? And she looked at me and she goes, not very well. And the ability to have alternatives to what she had already picked up that went with her wall paint and the rest of the furnishings in her house, made all the difference. So we got the sale.
Nice. Let's see. Let's go to Dan Lyman.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, just a couple things for me, Arlen. One is just being a complete outsider to flooring. I mean, before December, all I knew about floors was how to walk on them, and I think just start through the networking and talking to installers, talking to others in the business. I'm starting to feel more like an insider, and so I think that's been helpful. It kind of gets rid of some of that fear factor that other people have been talking about, and then. The other thing is just again, just doing the repetitive exercises on the tablet, I think is huge. I mean, I'm learning, in particular with the seaming tool, I've learned that if you run the seaming, it recalculates the waste on everything. So if you already, the order that you do things is important, because if you go through and remove the waste on your furniture move and your removal and haul away, then it gets and then you seam it, it gets added back in. So you have to just getting used to the order that you do things, I think is really helpful.
Good, good. Let's see, Keith Thomas.
So I had a couple of sort of quasi shopping experiences. My wife and I went to a home show here in North Providence. Wasn't very big, and actually ended up having a call come out of it, but for a deck. And it was interesting. These guys actually had a very similar process to ours, down to the tablet. They did sort of the company story with us. They didn't sell a reference list when they went out the door to do the measurements and come back with a number. They presented financing, which was a powerful tool because we did purchase, we're having a deck extended. So, and then the second thing that was, and they did everything. They warm up call. So they were on time, very pleasant. And we're actually pleased to be welcome and received in the house rather than just walked around the outside. So most people don't let us in. So thank you. And they did a great job with ice breaking, connecting artifacts in our house and did we travel and so on. And then I went on Monday, which I would call it a quasi secret shopper within the flooring business. I went to the Rhode Island Builders Association to take a hardwood flooring class for two reasons. One, just to see if I learned anything new. And two, I have to get credits for renewal for my renewal when it comes up in the state. And I will have fulfilled it before I'm in the shop. And the mix, about 8-10 people, 4 or 5 were GCs, a couple were carpenters, an electrician. And the person presenting was a distributor. And he kept talking about problems in the business. You can't send your customer to Lowe's or Home Depot to pick it out, because then the flooring shows up and you put it in and they go, it's not the color because the sample doesn't show the grain or a knot or it's more red. And they were looking at a friend's house and it's Brazilian cherry and it's 10 years old. So it looks different than it would out of the box, and you own it. And what reinforced to me is how terrific the training is, because he talked about engineered wood and nobody knew except me. I had to talk about the difference, the way the grains offset each other and it won't warp, which is important in Rhode Island when you're down by the water in particular, if you're doing wider plank installations, which high-end homes have. It's like, wow, I'm actually understanding what's going on here. And these guys are clueless. So it's nice,
I love it.
Taking the fear wall down has been mentioned before. So
love it. All right, let's go to San Antonio. How about Jeff? Jeff, you must be on the double mute. Phone mute and the Zoom mute, maybe? I'm going to let Jeff work on that, and I'm going to go to Steven, and then we'll come back to Jeff.
Yeah, I would say it'd be the feedback we're getting from the customers when they buy from us, and just when they give us the reasons, and they compare us to other companies and how we're a lot low pressure and we provide solutions, and just the process that we use compared to other companies.
Love it. So you're hearing from the customers how we earn our stars. I love that. All right, let's see if Jeff has his audio. Not, then who am I missing? Olivia, We talked to your dad, but we didn't talk to you. So Olivia, how about you jump in?
Yeah, I think back to the time management thing, I think I'm realizing that everything takes a lot longer than I think it's gonna take. And then I feel like I'm getting a lot of items off my checklist that just kind of like claw their way back. So learning how to like anticipate, you know, extra steps in each process, I think has been huge.
Nice. Nice. Charlotte.
Hey,
There, Charlotte.
morning and afternoon to everybody. I'm catching up myself. Last week, I had a child who was unwell, so I'm kind of catching up from the process of the time management goes into it. But I think that for me, as I'm trying to become an SME, so many of us have never been in flooring before. I'm very much in those shoes of learning everything from the very basics of, I didn't even understand how to determine or what a subfloor was. Never DIY'd any of this myself. So I'm trying to then create or envision how it comes from me in my vernacular and my personality so that it isn't a sales speech and it is very natural and flowing and professional and appealing. And that's the biggest thing I think I'm trying to grasp as I learn.
Love that. Yep, it's got to sound like you, right? It can't sound like anybody else. It's got to sound like it came from you. Let's see, David Hawkins.
Okay, let's see. I think Arlen, for me, because Lisa hit our secret shopping, which was that was very interesting. And but so the other thing for me, and it's kind of similar to what Olivia said, the one thing that I'm learning is very time consuming is actually getting completely set up with all of our suppliers. That's taken a while. And then I'm trying to build my installer price list and run that by some local installers and get that settled. And it's fun, but it's tricky to get that price list right.
Nice. All right, so let's see if we've got Jeff.
Hopefully it works now.
Now we've got you. Yep, now we've got you.
Guess I had to reboot it. So anywho, I had the privilege to ride along with another owner in the San Antonio area. I rode with Gabe yesterday, so it's nice to see from a different perspective. You know, they still use the same terms and all that good stuff, but it was nice to see how he put his story in his own words. And so I was able to learn and pick what I like from his story versus what Christy had and stuff like that. So it was a very nice conversation that I had with him too. And it was also nice. I had a meeting with a vendor, and it's nice to have a representative who is willing to talk to clients and is willing to answer the phone whenever you have questions. So it's nice to have those vendors out there. And she is a person with Dreamweaver, so it's nice to actually see that in person and have her demo a bunch of things for me too.
Nice, nice. Did I miss anybody?
Hey,
Oh, Emily.
Yeah, so I feel like one of the things I'm learning is how important the build rapport and getting to know your customer is. So I've been live for 2 weeks now, going on my own, and I landed my first commercial job last week using the 15-minute talking about anything but job when you walk into the customer's place of business or house. I did that, and it was kind of hard. It's been kind of hard after that on the other appointments because some people want you to go straight into talking about the job or showing you the area. So the first one, like I kind of forced conversation, but by the end of the appointment, when I was trying to read her the contract, she pretty much was saying, no, sweetie, I'm just going to trust you. And pretty much just told me to tell her the amount that she needed to write the check out for. So I feel like that played a big part in landing that sale, was building rapport, getting her to trust me, getting to know your customer.
Nice.
So yeah.
Nice, thank you. And Dan, I think you were jumping in with something?
Yeah, I was going to jump in quick, and something I wish I'd mentioned at the outset, but it was kind of spur of the moment. I had an experience yesterday I'd love your feedback on. I'd love the feedback of any others who've been through it. since I'm in the Midwest, I don't work directly with Mannington. I work with their regional distributor, which I believe is called Harrigan. And I was contacted by the Harrigan rep, who happens to be local. And it was very eye-opening in a lot of ways, because first of all, he said, I didn't even know FCI was still in business, and I've been in this industry for 40 years. He said, and then when he checked into it, he said, well, I hear that you guys are in Shaw's back pocket. Are we going to have an opportunity to actually sell you anything? Which was interesting. Now, he was doing this in a friendly way, but that was my first taste of the politics of suppliers. And then he sort of was pressing me on my qualifications. He seemed to, at least at first, not have a whole lot of enthusiasm or respect for the fact that I was, I was getting the vibe from him that I'm buying my way in as an owner when I haven't put my time in the industry. Now, by the end of the conversation, I think we'd warmed up, and he's going to be stopping by. He's excited to show me some samples, but it was the first time I'd experienced that where he's like, is this even going to be worth my time? Because from what I've been told, you guys just do everything Shaw anyway. But I just would welcome your feedback and maybe give everybody a heads up that you might run into a little bit of politics as you establish your wholesale relationships.
Well, Dan, what I would say, I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. What I would say is this. If you had asked me 5 years ago this question, I would have said, yes, we are very, very Shaw aligned. It's not because Shaw lines our pockets, or it's not a financial thing as much as when Floor Coverings International went out and started looking for vendors that wanted to partner with us, Shaw said, yes, we want to partner with you. We see the vision. We see where this is going to go, and we want to be with you. And at that time, Mohawk, Mannington, a lot of the others were given the opportunity, and they looked at us and said, yeah, when you get to where you're of size enough that we want to talk to you, then come by and we'll talk to you. So Shaw was one of the early adopters for this business model. They were one of the early supporters for this business. That doesn't mean that we are in Shaw's back pocket or vice versa. It simply means that they've been a big supporter for a long time. Now, if you look at where we are today versus 5 years ago, there's a ton of samples that are in the van, that are in the studio, that are now from Mohawk, that are from Mannington, that are from Cali, that are from AHF, that are from a bunch of different suppliers. Part of that is, frankly, is necessity, right? If we could, honestly, it would make it really, really easy from a training perspective and from a startup perspective if you only had one supplier that you had to work with. But you don't. The flooring industry is very fragmented, both from a retail side as well as from a manufacturer side. So there's a lot of companies out there, and out of necessity, you have to kind of get to know a bunch of them. Now, my feedback, if somebody came to me and said, well, are you going to be worth my time? I don't know. I might look at it and say, no, I probably won't be. You can see yourself to the door. Just if that's the attitude that you're going to have with me, then this is the attitude I'm going to have with you. And that's actually very telling about the relationship that is from a corporate standpoint that we've had with some of these other companies over the years. I remember when I first started my location, when I first started my franchise, it wasn't Mannington or one of the reps. It was Armstrong. And I remember calling my Armstrong rep, and I was very excited. I'm like, hey, I'm starting Floor Coverings International here in Columbia, and I really want to get a chance to meet with you. And he goes, listen, I live down in Charleston, about a 2-hour drive from where you are. I'm 66 years old. I drive to Columbia 2 times a month, and I see 3 customers, and you're not one of them. And I said, oh, okay. Well, then I guess I'm not selling a lot of Armstrongs. And it's not because, and honestly, it wasn't for punitive reasons. It's not like I was saying, okay, you're going to be a butt, I'm going to be a butt. It was purely that, look, I'm looking for feedback. I'm looking for support. I'm looking for somebody that can help me when I need something. And you clearly don't want to invest the time, so I'm probably not going to end up selling a lot of your stuff. It just is what it is. So I think to some degree that guy is predicting a self-fulfilling prophecy. If he's not willing to support you, then it's not punitive, or you're not trying to be ugly. It's just that's not going to be the person that's top of mind. Whereas if a different company or a different representative ends up coming and spending time with you and investing in you, then that's probably who you'll end up selling. So,
And
Arlen,
he
can I
did,
chime in?
he did warm
Yeah,
up by
Matt.
the end of it. So, oh, Matt, I was
Yeah.
going to ask you about this guy specifically, Matt, about Harrigan's. I
Yeah.
figured you guys were.
Yeah, no
working
worries.
with-
What I would encourage, if anybody runs into those situations, feel free to call me offline. We don't need to take up too much time on this call for it. But yeah, your relationships with the reps are important, and you're going to have good reps. You're going to have bad reps. And I promise you nowadays, if that were to be taken to somebody at Mannington National, that guy's going to be falling over backwards to come to you, because now they're all clamoring to get back with us. It's true that 6-7 years ago we were a pimple on their ass and nobody cared about us. And trust me, we fought, scratched and clawed for suppliers to be with us outside of Shaw, because it seemed like we were in Shaw's back pocket for everything that Arlen said. But the truth is, nowadays it's changed drastically. And if if things haven't changed for them, it's just that they're not in the know. I mean, on a national level, if it comes up to them that it's being shunned, it's going to change their viewpoint drastically and quickly. Now, that said, then even if the guy, if he doesn't want to service you, like Arnold said, if he doesn't want to service you, he's not going to service you, and you don't have to have every supplier that's out there. But there's different ways around it. And again, if anybody has any questions about it, we can talk offline. I'm more than willing to answer questions about these types of things.
All right. Well, I'll leave it at that, but I will say he did warm up by the end of it, and he's going to be stopping by the office here. We're going to get together in the next couple of days.
Good.
It was that first impression that,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We've run into this
All right.
a couple times. So a couple guys in Michigan just did the same thing with engineered floors. It wouldn't give them the time of day, and it was a matter of making one phone call, and now they've all got price lists and they're all opened up with them. So anyway, we'll let it go.
Thanks, Matt.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Good. Thanks. All right, so I'm not going to spend. I thought it was really important for us to be able to share with one another. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on the scorecard. I'm going to steal some time back. You will get a copy of this as always during the recap, so you can see where you are. I'll just scroll across here really quickly. That's too quick. I'll scroll across here so that you can see where you guys are. Remember, by now you should have weeks 1, 2, and 3 absolutely complete. And you should be well on your way with the Salesforce learning plan. So I'll just scroll across this way. Again, 1, 2, and 3, I'll go ahead and highlight these. Those should be absolutely complete. And the Salesforce stuff, if it's not complete, that's okay, but you should be well on your way with the Salesforce stuff. So if you see that you've got a 0 there, then that's probably an issue. If you've got a 83 there, then you're probably in pretty good shape. Again, 1, 2, and 3 should be done. Notice the ride-alongs down here at the bottom. Those of you that are, 15, 22, 33 ride-alongs, 18 ride-alongs, absolutely fantastic. You're going to learn so much, as you've already heard on the call today. You're going to learn so much about flooring, about the process, about how your franchise owner or neighboring franchise owner does things, just through those ride-alongs. So I'm not going to do questions around the scorecard today. If you've got a question, feel free to shoot me a message either in the group me or by email, but I want to save a little bit of time here and jump into where we're headed. And again, you will get that in copy. So I do want to get this started. Now today, we've looked at the scorecard. I'm going to do a quick check-in on the homework, and then we're diving straight into Inspired Sale. So in the Floor U material, you went through Inspired Sale steps 4 and 5. You went through what does it mean to do a company story in the installation video. There was a bunch of stuff about carpet. I apologize, one of the videos didn't play. I've replaced that video now. YouTube is weird. When I pull stuff off of YouTube, YouTube is constantly changing stuff, and I don't have any control over that. So anyway, it is what it is. But I'm happy to go in and find a different one and sub it out. And then, of course, estimating carpet using the tablet. Were there any questions when you guys went through this? Were there any questions that came up during the week 3 homework out of Floor U? Don't see anything right off, so we will move forward. Yes.
Arlen, I'm sorry, I couldn't get off mute. Yeah, I did have a question and it had to do with when you try to swap the products. So when you going from option to option, you copy option 1 to option 2, and then you want to change something. It seems to be very straightforward for me if I'm changing the flooring material, the carpet to PG2 or from PG2 to PG1, for example. But when I try to do the pad, I don't know what I'm doing, but I can't seem to replace the pad without going and starting a whole new option.
So you can't, the little switcheroo button does not do the pad. It only does the carpet. That's it. It does not do the pad. So if you want to switch the pad, the easiest way to switch the pad is to hit the little, once you've copied your option, hit the little plus button at the bottom of that section and add, like you're just adding an extra line item, add the pad that you want and delete the pad that you don't want.
Okay. Well, that explains why I couldn't do it.
Yep. The switcheroo button works for the main product, but it does not touch underlayments. It doesn't touch pad. It doesn't touch any of that stuff. So it is truly just the main product. So in the case of carpet, it would be nice if you had the option of swapping the carpet and the pad, but it doesn't. It only touches the main product. Good. Any other questions that came out of the homework?
I just noticed from doing stairs that has a different way to do those too. They don't show up. You have to go in and click those separately to add them. So that's something for people, if they've gone on ride-alongs or haven't yet, keep an eye out for the stairs, because I left some out in one of my quotes, but luckily I overpriced in something else, so it was a wash.
Yeah, so right, stairs, and if you have rooms that have different subfloors, you have to do them separately. I mean, you can put them all in the same option. You just have to do it. You have to go back out and put them in. That's by design. If you have if you're on a concrete slab with a second story, obviously the first floor is a concrete slab. The second floor is either plywood or OSB. So those are two different subfloors, and that might mean that you're doing two different types of materials or two different installation methods. You do an engineered hardwood. It might be that you're gluing it down to the slab, but then you're nailing it on the second floor. So it's by design that you can't pick two different subfloors at the same time. And that's why you can't pick the stairs. The stairs it's like it's a different subfloor. All right, so let's dive right into the inspired sale practice. So where are we at? We have spent time looking at the setup call. We've spent time around the warm up and the inspection. Walking around the house with the customer and finding out what it is that they want their new floors to look like and feel like and how they want them to last. We talked about the reference list. Last week, we spent some time around the inspection video and we talked about how to measure a job. So today, we're going to spend the rest of our time today talking about the company story and the installation presentation. So the installation presentation is that primarily, there's some other stuff that you can do, but it primarily is you get into the installation as you're getting into the installation video, which is sort of sandwiched in the middle of the company story. So step 4 and step 5 almost get squashed together. We're going to spend some time around the company story, and then next week we'll dive into product presentation and what does it mean to present product to the customer. So let me just ask you this question. Take yourself off of mute. What is the purpose? Why do we bother doing a company story? Why do we bother with that?
To build value. It's like price conditioning and building value.
Okay. So I agree with you, but how does telling a company story, how does that build value for the customer?
It sets us apart from the competition. And so then when we finally do show them the price, they might even say, wow, that's actually less than I thought, for all that I get, for all that I'm getting.
Good. Who else? Why else? Why do we bother with the company story?
It gives us what we experience is that some of our customers are not familiar with Floor Coverings International. So as they find out, who we are, company reputation, stores, and how many locations we are, the rating, it's really important for them because having, 4.8 across, 200 locations is very difficult to accomplish. And also the fact that, we're differentiated from other, companies, bringing, 3,000 samples to the residents. Eh, Every single time that we go to every single slide, I can see how people react to that. So I think it's really important.
Good. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, Beto, you're talking about we're 4.8. Here's a quiz question for you. Who is the #1 rated flooring company in North America right now?
We are.
FCI.
Us.
And
We
that's
are.
what we tell them, we're the #1 rated flooring company in North America. And they're very
Right.
impressed by it.
I mean, but if we don't tell them, how are they going to know?
Who wouldn't know, honestly?
No, nobody would know unless we told them. Nobody's going to know, right? How are they going to know if we don't tell them? I mean, I think it's still, okay. Does anybody know who won the Super Bowl this year? Anybody? Anybody?
Yeah, the Chiefs.
Okay, all right. I mean, whether
The
you like
Eagles.
it or you don't like it, okay, I didn't ask if you were a Chiefs fan, but I haven't even looked. You guys can look while we're on the call. I'd be willing to bet that if you go to the Chiefs website, it probably says Super Bowl winners, don't you think? I mean, isn't that something to be proud of? My
Sure.
God.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, and if you work, let's say you work in the chief's office somewhere, okay? I don't care where. You're one of the people that answer the phones. You're a janitor at the Chiefs, whatever. It doesn't matter. Now you're somebody in HR for the Chiefs, and you're trying to hire somebody. Don't you think you're going to say, "Hey, we're the Super Bowl winners. We're #1." I mean, I know you're going to do that for recruiting, right? Absolutely, for recruiting players, but not beyond just players. Anybody that comes to the door, the first thing they're going to learn. It wouldn't surprise me if every person's business card that works for the Chiefs, every person's business card doesn't say at the top of it, Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl winners. They have to.
Yeah, I bet if you call them up, they're gonna answer it that way. You're calling to the
Yeah.
Super Bowl, winners.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kansas City Chiefs.
So why wouldn't we do the same thing? Right? And so in the company story, yes, we have an opportunity in the setup call. We have an opportunity with marketing materials and whatever else. But this is the absolute best place for us to tell our story so that people understand who we are. All right. So what else? Why else do we do the company story?
It's also one of the reasons that people buy the product, the person, the company.
Yeah, the company.
And the price.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I think the company story also gives us an opportunity to address some of the objections that maybe they've had. So if their objection is that they're going to get other quotes, well, in the company story, we can talk about if you choose another company, you're going to have a headache. They're not going to know who the installers are. You're not going to get this thing. We're trying to set ourselves up as so great they don't need those other quotes.
I love it. Yep, I love it. Good. What else?
Our company story backs up who we are.
Sorry, Alana?
Our company story backs up who we are and the expert advice that we have, and makes them comfortable to buy from us. It gives them all the goods and the facts to back it all up.
I love it. Okay. Now, some key things about the company story. Okay. Some key things. We've already started to touch on this. Some key things about this. First of all, there's almost in this class, I'd have to count everybody up today. I haven't counted the attendance, but there's like 40 of us on this call. Okay. That means if every one of us did the company story, you would hear it 40 different ways. And you should hear it 40 different ways. The way that I deliver it is going to sound very different than the way that Greg delivers it. It's going to sound very different than the way that Brigitte delivers it. It's going to sound very different than the way that Aaron delivers it. Okay, even though we're giving the same company story, the way I deliver it is going to sound very different than the way you deliver it, and it should. It has to come from you. Okay, this is where you have to be able to take the training and say, okay, I'm not being trained on like this is a script that I have to memorize. No, this is not a script. I don't want you to memorize a script. This is you understanding what is the essence of each one of the slides. What's the spirit of the slide, right? What is the essence of the slide? What am I trying to communicate here? But then you've got to be able to put it in your own words because it has to come from you. But now let's complicate it even, not complicated, but let's expand that even more. Because if I go on 10 appointments this week, I see 10 different customers. I'm the same person doing the company story, but it's going to sound different for every one of those customers. It has to. So every time I do it, it's going to sound different because I'm going to personalize it to each person that I talk to. So I haven't counted it up. Let's just assume for a minute that we've got 40 people on the call, and every one of us does 10 appointments this week. Oh my gosh, that's, what is that, 400 different company stories? But it's all the same company story. But it's going to be delivered 400 different ways just out of this group. Does that make sense? Okay, so the reason that I say this is because sometimes we get twisted up about, oh my gosh, I have to say the exact words the exact way. No, you don't. I don't want you to say the exact words the exact way. I want this to be, at the end of the day, I want this to be you describing your pride in Floor Coverings International and understanding that this is what the customer's needs are, and all you're doing is showing the customer how what we do and how we do it and what they need, how those two things fit together. That's what you're trying to do. It's no different than if you were applying for a job and your potential employer said, these are the three things that are most important to me, and you say, okay, well, this is what I have in my background that we can put those together and we can work together and we can make this work. Okay. There's going to be customers from time to time that you go see and you realize, wait a minute, what we do and what you need, it doesn't really work. We're probably not the right company for you. Okay. There's going to be times when you deliver the company story and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to take care of this person. There's nobody else that I want to deal with this person because we have to be the ones that do this. I'll give you a case in point. This is a little bit, I get kind of passionate about some of these customers that I dealt with. There was one gentleman, and you know, as we're talking about the floor and what he wants to do, he tells me that he's an elderly. I mean, he's not old. He was probably in his late 60s, and he says he had always promised his wife that he would do the floors, but she passed away last year. And so she never got a chance to see the new floors, but he was honoring her and he was going to replace the floors. And as he's telling me his story, he's kind of, you know, he's weeping up, right? He's tearing up as he's talking about his wife. And then he tells me that shortly after his wife died, that his brother moved in with him. And his brother was only with him for 4 or 5 months and he passed away. And so he's had 2 deaths in the last year, his wife and his brother. And again, as he's telling me this story, I'm sitting here going, there is absolutely no way that I'm going to allow anybody else to work with this man. I'm not going to let him be subjected to some other company that's going to try to take advantage of him, that's going to do this, that's going to do this, that's going to make this a hassle. No, we're going to take care of this guy, and we're going to make sure that we do this. We're always going to do it the right way. But it's almost like it was almost like I felt like I had to protect him from the competition. It's not me trying to sell him. It's about I want to make sure that this is done right, and by God, I'm the one to do it. Okay, so. To me, the company story is nothing more than me explaining, this is what I heard you say you need, and this is what we do, and this is how those two things go together. Does that make sense? I'm going too far down a rabbit hole, right? All right.
Arlen, I have a question for you, if I may.
Yeah.
With the 14 steps, if you will, I've been on almost 45 ride-alongs now, and I've been doing the company story on the last half of them. But I find that the installation video, if I had, and I'd like you to explain why it is where it is, but when I finish the installation video, the last page is about let's build it. And it feels like the choice slide, the direct slide, and the versus slide should have been before the installation video. Because when they see that installation video and it concludes, they think we're going to go right to price. I find it every time I'm in the home. But to me, a video is our strongest suit to then present the price. But can you explain why it's step 9 and not step 12?
All right. So if I go back here, so the price shows up in step 8, right?
Right.
Right. So this is where the price comes in. So I'm doing the company story, and yes, the installation presentation is embedded in this. It's part of this, okay? But that's not the only thing. So when I come out of the company story, I also have the ability to do like a subfloor build up or do some things that talk about how we're going to install the floors. Then we talk about product, okay? Now, what is, from the customer's perspective, when is the customer most excited about everything?
After they've chosen the product.
Exactly, after they've chosen the product. So I want to be able to go from product to price as fast as possible. So that's one of the, this step 7, don't get hung up by the fact that there's a step in between here. This step 7 literally takes 35 seconds to do. So this is extremely fast. Once the customer has picked the product, I want to be able to move from there to the price really, really fast. So if I did step 6, if I presented the product way back here before I did the company story, it's out of order. I need to get the company story done, and I need to talk about how we're going to install the floors. I need to get that stuff out of the way before I show product so that I can take advantage of the customer's emotional high around product just before I show them the price. Does that answer the question? Tom disappeared off my screen. He went to another screen. I don't see him. Okay, we'll move forward. Okay, so what I would like to do is I want to break you guys up into breakout rooms. And I want you to be able to take bits and pieces of the company story and put these to work, okay? Now, the learning strategy that I've walked you guys through, I'll remind you of this. First, I ask you to learn the order of the slides and then to learn the content of the slides, and then to spend some time working on slide transitions. And now it's time to sort of personalize it, right? And then later we can get into understand, alter, and convert and price conditioning. But what I want to be able to do, I want to break you guys up into breakout rooms. And I want you, I'm going to keep these really small, like 2 or 3 people in each room. And I want you to deliver your company story to the other people in your breakout room. Now, how long should this take? Well, it should take you 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes to do this company story. So if you can pull it up on your tablet and just, show your tablet to the camera, that's great. But I want you to deliver your company story to your partner and get some feedback, and then go in the other direction so that everybody has a chance to practice this. They're not going to be smooth. I mean, you're going to see that some of the design associates that have been doing this in the home are going to be much smoother than other people. That's fine, but at the end, you've got to have an opportunity to practice this and get some feedback from it. So let me get the breakout rooms put together. Breakout rooms put together here. And as always, if needed, I'm certainly willing to jump in wherever I need to. I will bounce around a little bit just to see if there's anybody that needs something. So that's got to go to room 18. Whiteboard. So And I think Matt's still with us. No, okay. All right. So you guys, I'll give you guys some messages on the screen as we go through this. One of you take an opportunity to go through your company story, get some feedback from one another, and then go in the other direction. Share with me, if you would, or share with the group, if you would, things that you heard, maybe you did, maybe your partner did, that were very, very impactful, that you think would be helpful for others in the room to hear. What'd you guys hear?
I can start out by bragging about my classmate because I think that I told Janie, I said, you know, you were guilty until proven innocent, because I feared that this would be clunky. I feared that this would be a momentum killer, and she it had a very natural flow. It didn't seem rushed, and then I realized that she didn't even have a sales background. I thought she did a great job, and that was just a very honest sense of relief on my part. To realize that, you know what, it is good content, it is valuable content, and it does set the stage, hopefully, for you know, being able to offer those numbers up at the end. And you know, a spoonful of sugar helps that medicine go down, I guess you could say.
Good.
Arlen, I'll tell on myself. I did it with Spencer, and so I tried to do it without my tablet because I didn't have the tablet near me. It was downstairs, so I tried to do it ad lib. Not recommended. not good. Not a good idea. I missed a few really big points by not having the slides in front of me. So like the fact that we were part of a large corporation that had Paul Davis and California Closets in it, I forgot a few really big points. So I will never try it again, at least not in the near future, without the tablet being in front of me.
Nice. Good. Good. Other things to learn, other things you learned, other things that you think would be helpful for the class as a whole to learn.
I was working with Paul Beaudry, and he did a great job on the Better Business Bureau thing, which I think, and my takeaway is I've got a lot of work. I've been more on the technical aspects. I need to do more on this a bit now that the technical stuff is not gone, but under control. I'm up to date. But was really powerful, you know, when you think about it, especially coming out of this Rhode Island Builders thing and all the issues this guy was saying go on with customers, to tell them how, you know, price is important, and then later talk about being one point of contact for them. I think it's really powerful as sitting as a customer listening to that.
Nice. So what were some of his, how did he land the Better Business Bureau slide with you? Because it sounds like he did a great job landing that.
Well, he went through the price point issue, saying, you know, that most of the complaints are from folks that have taken the lowest price. And there's, you know, always that message you learn in life, you know, sometimes the lowest, you get what you pay for. Was very powerful to hear it, you know, from a problem a customer may have if you go shop somebody other than me.
Nice. Nice. Other takeaways?
Yeah,
Hey,
I'll
Arlen,
speak up.
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Evan.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was partnered with Adam, and so I ended our conversation by offering him a job and Flyers tickets if he wants to come to Philly. But if that can't happen, what I loved about what he did is he made it his own. He injected his personality into it. He's a likable guy. He's laid back in his approach, and he followed the script way better than I would be able to at this stage. But he made it his own, and I think that's important, because if it looks like you're scripted, it's going to come off as artificial and maybe even out of order with some of the pieces. Like he and I talked about the references feeling like it could be awkward where they're positioned in the slide order, but if there's a client where it just doesn't feel right, how do you improvise and make sure that's included, but maybe rejigger things a little bit for that client to think on your feet.
Nice.
And that comes with practice, which I have not enough of.
There you go. All right, Dan.
I was just going to say, I think one of the things I'm probably overly sensitive to, Arlen, is how much time you spend on this, because and so I probably was rushing a little bit. And Rocky's feedback, which I thought was great, is take a very brief pause in between. I think I was filibustering, so I think you take a very brief pause in between the slides, and don't act rushed. And I think taking the body language from the customer in terms of if they seem squirmy and they want you to hurry up, I think there's a lot of ways to abbreviate and still get the point of the slides across.
Nice.
Hey, Arlen.
Yes.
I have one on and Brigitte, and they did a tremendous job. One of the comments that I got out of this, and I might have misunderstood this, but I think Brigitte said that Wednesday is their day they practice those. I thought, man, that's fantastic if you can put a day a week, just for people to practice and get smoother, because it is all about repetition.
Yep. That is highly encouraged, that you take and you do practice sessions during the week. I mean, I would suggest at minimum once a week, maybe even twice a week, where you're doing nothing but practicing. I mean, the best athletes in the world practice. It's not that you practice to the point that you can do it. You practice to the point that you can never get it wrong, which means you're always practicing it, right? So I mean, this is something that you're not just practicing it now, but if you really want to be great at sales is a skill. And just like any other skill that's out there, you can get better with practice. So yeah, absolutely. Brigitte, you're with Jim, right? Congratulations to you and Jim for taking the time in the schedule.
John Conroy.
With John. Who's with Jim? Jim Gowden. Giordano. Anyway, okay, never mind. John Conroy, congratulations to you and John and the whole team there. Good. Other takeaways, things that you heard, right? I don't want to put anybody on the spot. Things that you heard or that you said that you're like, that maybe didn't come across so well. I'm not trying to embarrass people. I'm trying to help others learn the things that you learned in your breakout room.
So I'll go ahead and go. Being a little bit newer, I've only been doing this for a few weeks. I tried to kind of make it my own, do whatever I wanted, not whatever I wanted, but follow the script, but still kind of play it off as my own, put my personality into it. It didn't really turn out as great as it could have. Because right after I went, Miss Marsh went and she just knocked it out of the park. She was just right on script, went through it, was really fluid with it. But I think that there is a time definitely that I will be able to be like that, but it's not until I get that rigid structure down. And you've been pushing that, and I love that you push to have this structure, but then still to be able to open up. But I still need to work on that structure.
Good. I love it.
Yeah, Will did a great job. He has a natural smile that I need to
kind of learn from, because I kind of said it too fast and I needed to take a breath and just take a breath and slow down. So thanks, Will.
Nice. Nice, nice. All right, let's do one more.
Hey, Arlen, I'll throw one in here real quick.
Come on, Cody.
So I was with Bridget and Raul, and one thing that I really liked that she did is she kind of talked about like bringing the samples in, because right when you walk in with your samples, everyone's first reaction is to just, they want to look, they want to see. And she just kind of talked about she kind of, even before like the company story, which I think is almost one of the most important steps, is she kind of just brought it back and said, hey, I just kind of want to go over our company story and kind of, how we do things and talk about that a little bit, because she's not wrong. Every time you walk in with samples, the people, they just want to see them. So being able to kind of set those off to the side and say, hey, before we get to this, we got to go through this.
So one thing that I'll touch on there, because how you manage your tablet, how you manage your samples, these are little things, right? I'm picking on little things. How you manage those little things determines whether or not you're in control of the appointment, or is the customer in control of the appointment. Remember, even though, yes, you're in the customer's house, you're going to be respectful of their house, but this is where you work. This is your office for the next hour and a half. This is your office. So you have to stay in control of the appointment. That doesn't mean that you're going to be rigid, right? You're not snapping a customer back, but you've got a process that you're following, and the process works. And so you're trying to lead the customer down a path rather than being drug around by the customer. So when you come back into the home with samples, think about little things like, if I sit down on the couch and the customer's sitting down in the chair opposite from me, I don't want to put the samples in between me and the customer. I want to put the samples over to the side, so that as I'm going through the company story, they're paying attention to me. If I put the samples in front of me, they're not going to look at me. They're going to pay attention to the samples, right? So little things, body language, where I position things, all that's going to matter. These are the little tiny things, right? Another little tiny thing, I have my tablet and I say, let me show you what we found. And I play the installation video for them, or excuse me, the inspection video for them. And then I turn the tablet back to me and I cue up the company story. Now, the next words out of my mouth are really, really important, okay? These are really, really important. So let me just back up here. I'm going to go back to the very beginning of our company story. Okay, so let's say right here, you don't see the tablet. You're not seeing my tablet because I have it turned towards me. I've shown you, the customer, I've shown you the inspection video. And now the tablet is turned towards me. I've got my phone as my tablet, right? So here's my tablet. Now, if I ask you, the customer, hey, would you mind if I take a few minutes and tell you a little bit about my company? What's the customer going to say?
No, I don't need to hear about that. Just skip it.
Right. More than likely, they're going to say, yeah, you don't have to do that. That's okay. You don't have to do that. Let's just see what your price is or whatever, right? And now all of a sudden you're derailed. Okay, so I've shown the installation video. The next words out of my mouth, I want to be careful that it does not sound like, will you give me permission to do a company story? So I show the inspection video, and immediately, you're still looking at the back of my tablet. Immediately, it's, the thing that I love the most about my job? I mean, it's almost like I'm having a moment. The thing I love most about my job is I have an opportunity to come in and help people like you pick out their floors or improve their spaces. And, I work with a company called Floor Coverings International, and our promise is to provide the best in-home, the best flooring experience in North America. We're part of a company that's all about service. Before the customer knows it, we're 3 slides into the company story. They never had a chance to say no, right? So I want to be these are the little things. I want to be really, really careful. The tablet is turned towards me. I'm sorry, get back to where I'm supposed to be here. The tablet's turned towards me. I show it to them to do the installation video. or the inspection video, I turn it back to me, I queue up the company story. Now they're still looking at the back of the tablet, and it's like I said, it's almost like I'm having a moment. You know, the thing that I love the most about my job is that I get an opportunity to come into somebody's home. Now, look, that's the way I started. The way you do the first slide, this is you. I'm not giving you a script. I'm just telling you, if you say anything that sounds like, hey, I'd like to spend the next few minutes and tell you a little bit about our company. Well, now it's like you've stolen the moment from yourself. You had an opportunity to keep the customer up here on a high note, but now you've announced, I'm about to give you a sales pitch. And I don't want it to sound like I'm about to give you a sales pitch. I just want it to sound like, you know, I'm having a moment. You know, the thing that I love the most about my job, and literally before you know it, you're 3 slides into the company story and the customer never knew it was coming. So just think about those little things. It's the big things aren't what gets us. It's the little things that gets us. So just think about those little things and try to not announce, oh, by the way, would you mind if I tell you a little bit about our company story? Or, hey, I need to take the next 8 minutes because my boss tells me that I have to do this. So I'm going to spend the next 8 minutes and run you through some PowerPoint slides. Nope. Just dive right in. And you'll see, you'll be 3 slides in before anybody recognizes what just happened. And now you're in it. There's no way to get back out of it.
Hey, Arlen?
Yeah.
If I could just ask a question, interrupt if you don't mind. So you have the tablet turned backside to them, and as you start saying that, hey, you know what I love about that, my job, then as you go to the second one, then are you turning the towards them as you're speaking?
Yeah, so let me do it. Sorry, I'm gonna do this so that you can get a bigger visual. All right. So let's assume that this is my tablet, right? I've got my tablet over here as a third screen, but let's assume that this is my tablet, right? So I've shown you the face, I've shown you the installation video. I keep saying it wrong, the inspection video. I've shown you the inspection video, right? And I just queued that up by saying, let me show you what I found. Boom, I let the inspection video play. Now I turn it back to me. You know, Aaron, the thing that I love the most about my job, I work for this company, Floor Coverings International, and I made a decision to be part of this company because, you know, we're a company that's all about service. Okay, however you start that first slide, right? I'm not giving you the script, I'm just telling you, however you start that first slide. The thing I love the most about my job, now you've got the back of the tablet, the thing I love most about my job is X, Y, and Z. And now I'm turning the tablet towards them. Maybe they're getting the tail end of this first image, right? Maybe they're getting the tail end of this first image, and before you know it, I'm already swiping to this. And, you know, and our promise is that we are going to provide the best flooring experience in North America. You know, boom, this is our promise. Good. If the customer has something in their job or hobbies or whatever that talks about promise, this is a great place to already start personalizing it. No big deal, right? No problem whatsoever. But I'm going to be on this slide or even the third slide before they knew what happened. But yeah, they will see this image, right? But it might be that they only see this image for 2 or 3 seconds before I'm already swiping to the next one.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, good. So what do we have next week? Next week, we're back together on Wednesday. You should be able to deliver the company story in less than 12 minutes. And honestly, I would say even less than 10 minutes. This should be an 8-minute exercise to be able to walk through the company story. 8 to 10 minutes is really a good target for you. If you're not caught up in Floor U, this is a good week to get caught up in Floor U. The tasks that are in Floor U, there's not as much recorded material, so you should breathe a sigh of relief. Design associates continue to go on ride-alongs. Franchise owners are writing proposals. DAs get those 5 reference list pictures. In Floor U, you've only got 2 topics. You've got the inspired sales, step 6 and 7, and you've got a little bit about tile. So the stuff that's in Floor, this is by design. By the time you get to this week, a lot of people are sort of behind, so the material that's in for you, there's a lot less of it this week. Take advantage of that by getting caught up. Use that as an opportunity to get caught up. Our next call is next Wednesday. We will be together. I'll be back in Atlanta again next Wednesday, so we'll be doing this from the home office. And if you would, have a couple of sample boards on hand, because I do want to practice a little bit about presenting product to customers. If you're watching this after the fact, it's not as effective because you didn't have an opportunity to practice a company story with somebody. So I would suggest that you do grab somebody and practice a company story and try to get some feedback there. Makeup word for the day is the storm. So you can still get 75% credit for watching this. It's just you didn't have the opportunity to get some feedback from one of your colleagues. Any last minute questions from the team? By the way,
I do have a question, and this is just a personal question. On my weight training 2 and 3, the only thing that I have missing is some of the videos. And I think you mentioned that we don't have to do the videos. So, or do we still have to do it?
I've taken them out. I took them completely out.
Okay. So I guess my progress in my week is not showing the 100%. So how do I get to 100%? Oh, we're not going to be able to do that because there's the videos missing.
I'll look at yours and see.
Okay, thank you.
Same issue, Arlen, on the recordings for week 3. The 2 recordings you had to do didn't accept it on the site. So
right, but I took them out of the course.
I looked at them and they're still there. I looked at it yesterday.
Okay.
They're still
In
there.
week 3?
Yes.
It's recording the fab for the 3 different types of backing, I think is what people are talking about.
All right, good. Thank you. I'll go and take a look at that right away. Good. All right, team. I mentioned earlier, because Billy was talking about, I know Billy does a good bit of project management work as well, and he was talking about having to deliver bad news to a customer. If you check your group me, I put a YouTube video, the difference between cows and buffalo. And my encouragement to you is to be a buffalo, don't be a cow. That'll make a lot more sense when you watch that YouTube. It's a 4-minute YouTube. And I will see you guys next week.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, Arlen.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Arlen.
Thank you, Arlen.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Arlen.
Bye.
Thank you, Arlen. You're the best.
Bye.